So today I have got my ex-teacher Benjamin here to talk about his experience teaching English in Japan. So Benjamin, can you introduce yourself?
Hello, I'm Ben. I've taught in Floria School for about 2 years. That was in 2016 to about 2018. Yeah, and I came back to Singapore about in 2019. Yeah, so in between I was also teaching in public schools for half a year. And right now I'm a full-time photographer and I teach photography again. Yeah, not English but now photography, and also I do a lot of events, wedding photos and things like that. Yeah.
Okay, right. So Benjamin, what was your image of Japan before you went to Japan to teach?
Before I went to Japan, I was traveling quite a lot as a tourist.
Oh, in Japan?
In Japan.
Okay. So it wasn't your first visit when you came to work for me?
Yeah.
Okay. And so, do you remember when was your first visit to Japan?
Oh, the first place okay, so if you count a tour, I was in Hokkaido.
That was the first time,
that was
time you
when I
went
was
to
in
Japan?
Yes. But I went with my brother and my mother then. So that was in a tour group, and I knew nothing about Japan.
Oh, so time. You had no image of Japan?
Yeah, no.
Okay. Alright.
Yeah, so, but I think I took some lessons in Japanese language when I was working. So then I decided to travel by myself to Japan, since I knew a very bit of the language.
Okay.
Yeah.
So why were you interested in Japan? Like, what kind of things attract you?
I guess I've heard a lot about the culture there. It's also a safe place to visit and good for solo trip.
Oh,
so
okay, because it's safe?
Yeah. So that's the part of the reason why I decided to go to Japan. Yeah, at the same time I was also learning the language, so might as well be in Japan. Yeah.
Also, okay, so Benjamin, when you were in Japan, like, what kind of problems did you have while living there?
I guess mainly it's the communication problems. Yeah.
So can you give us some like examples?
Sure. Okay, so there was this incident where I rented a car to see the castle in the clouds. That was
Takeda Castle.
Yes, Takeda Castle. And when I was coming back home the next day, and I needed to refill the petrol. So I went to the petrol station. But I think at that time, I remember I just came to Japan for a few months, and I wasn't sure about a lot of kanjis then. So I mistook a particular gas pump for petrol, and actually it was diesel. So I accidentally pumped diesel into my car.
Oh, so the word was the KU?
KU.
And you thought that was petrol?
Yes.
And you pump diesel into your rented car?
Yeah.
Okay, then what happened?
Well, the good thing is that I didn't start the car.
Okay.
So
someone told you?
No, I think midway I was suspicious about it. And I went to Google Translate the words, and I realized it was diesel.
Oh, okay.
So I guess I knew enough to not use diesel for petrol.
Okay.
So in the end I went to the attendant, the petrol kiosk attendant, and I was also speaking in a very broken Japanese to him. So that was quite an experience for me. And in the end, I managed to call the rental car company. And at first they told me that it might cost a few, like tens of thousands of yen to repair and to remove the diesel. So, but they said they will settle it. And thankfully I was near home at that time, so I could walk back. But even then, it was a half an hour journey walk.
Oh, okay.
So I was like very
So
worried.
you left the car at the gas
The
station?
gas station, yeah.
Oh, okay. And how much did they charge you?
Oh, they didn't charge me yet, thankfully.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That was very nice of them.
Yeah. I don't know why, but
Could you rent the car again from the same
yes,
company?
I could.
Okay.
Thankfully.
So,
Yeah.
right. Okay.
There was another rental car issue that I had, and that was on my way back from Okayama. So on my way back, I was stopped by the police because I didn't signal when I made the turn,
Oh.
or I didn't switch on the headlights or something like that. Yeah, I forgot, but it was their local law, which
Oh.
I wasn't aware of.
Okay.
Yeah, so they stopped me and they asked to see my license. So I gave them my international license in a book, and they couldn't understand what was it.
Because it was in English.
There was Japanese. There's a section in Japanese as well, but they haven't seen.
An international license.
Yes, so they were suspicious about it,
Right.
and in the end they drove me back to the station.
To the police station.
Yeah, and I guess they made calls and all that. Yeah, so that one was it was a big thing for me because I was along the way I was like worried about what would happen to me. What
How many hours you'll be
will
kept?
I be kept there?
Yeah.
And it was quite late in the night, so I was very tired as well. Yeah, and by the time they let me off, it was at about 12 o'clock. So I was driving back from Okayama at 12 o'clock,
Wow.
and then I reached back at 4
In the morning.
in the morning. Yeah.
So if they had understood that was a driving license, there wouldn't be such a problem.
I guess then the problem would be me not signaling. But I don't know maybe something that I wouldn't
Okay.
know.
So driving wasn't very easy then,
I wouldn't say it was easy.
because
It
the
wasn't easy.
different laws,
Yeah.
different rules.
But I've driven quite a number of times when I was there. It's only that one time that the police
Was
decided
waiting
to
for
stop
you.
me. Yeah. Otherwise, it was easy generally. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Okay. So you taught English in Raffles. Why is it so hard for Japanese to learn? They study English for many years, and yet they cannot speak. So in your opinion, what do you think is a problem?
I guess it's the lack of exposure and practice. Yeah, because in my own experience, I'm terrible at Mandarin, and for me, the reason why I'm bad at it is because my family speaks English at home most of the time, and I rarely get to use Mandarin, except when maybe talking to my friends, and even then, if I talk to them in Mandarin, sometimes they will laugh at me.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
So, if I were to draw some similarities to maybe in the Japanese context, I think the students, they only have the opportunity to be exposed to English in schools, and everything else is in Japanese. So there's so little time for them to practice, to read, to speak. So that's why I feel that it takes a very long time for Japanese to get used to English. Especially when I was in public schools. Like, if you draw some, if you look at the differences between us learning like our mother tongue, whether it's Chinese, Malay or Tamil in our public schools in Singapore, the teachers speak to us in the language that we're supposed to learn.
Right.
So like my Chinese teacher would speak in Mandarin with me, with the entire class. But I think in the Japanese context, the only exposure that the students get to speak in English in was when the ALTs, like me, spoke to them in English. Otherwise, language rules, grammar, vocabulary are explained in Japanese rather. So then it's difficult for them to use it naturally. There'll always be this barrier of translation in your head. Yeah.
So you think that the lack of like chances to speak is one of the problem, that the Japanese cannot speak English well, not all but some. Next is like, okay, so some casual questions, like, so what is your favorite food in Japan?
My favorite food? Right now I still crave for I forgot what it is. Okay, so right now I still crave for Koko Ichibanya curry rice.
Curry rice?
Yes. Only in Japan.
Yeah.
So we just went to Plaza Singapura, right?
Right.
There's a Koko Ichibanya restaurant over there. But I've never had.
You mean the taste is different or what?
The taste, the texture of the rice, the texture of the curry, I always order the tokatsu curry, so it's also very different. In Singapore, it's a little wetter than Japanese. Yeah, okay. and it's juicier on the inside. So in Japan.
Yeah. So the curry.
So it's the curry, and I guess it's also because I only eat the curry rice when it's winter or autumn. So then the cold weather really amplifies the mood of eating the curry rice there.
Okay.
Over here it's like I'm just sweating.
I
It's not
see,
nice.
I see. So you feel warmer after eating curry?
Yeah. It was a very warm feeling that you get after eating.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what food you dislike? Is there any food that you don't like to eat in Japan?
I think over time. Oh, this is something that I gradually started not liking. I was okay with it at first. Yeah.
What is it?
It's actually supermarket sushi.
Oh, really? Why?
Because well, I guess after staying in Japan, I get to eat the
Real
sushi
sushi.
from actual restaurants, right? And it's so different from supermarket bought sushi. So after having like those
The
fresh
fresh.
sushi and sashimi, and then you go back to the restaurant, it's totally different. I don't know how to say it, but it's a little more stale
Than the
restaurant
fresh
sushi.
restaurant.
Yeah.
I see.
So
Okay.
after that, I started to avoid buying sushi in supermarkets.
Oh my god. Okay. So while you were in Japan, what customs of the Japanese impressed you most?
I was there before COVID, and I really liked the idea of wearing your mask, putting on a mask
Even
when you're
before
outside.
COVID.
Yeah, for hygiene purposes.
Oh, really?
Yes. So whenever I go out, I would also put on a mask. Maybe because especially during winter when it's cold, almost my face rather. So when I was back from Singapore, when I was back in Singapore, when I took the train, everybody was maskless, and whenever someone coughs in the train, I would cringe. Yeah. So after that, I'll be like, I wish everybody
Put on a
had
mask.
a mask culture in Singapore. So after COVID, right, people started to put on masks, and it's normal to wear a mask in public, right? So I was more appreciative about that. So I think that's one good thing that came out of COVID.
So do you wear mask now?
When I travel, when I take the trains.
Really?
Yeah.
So you appreciate like Japanese are more hygienic,
They're more considerate,
more considerate.
more hygienic. Their rubbish collection culture is also something that amazes me.
Oh,
Yeah.
like take out the garbage on
Yeah.
different days.
Yes. I admire how they are so disciplined in separating their rubbish, their
Oh.
garbage. Yeah, because over here in our we throw every other garbage in the same trash bin.
Together.
Yeah, and even if there are recycling bins, it's also not properly utilized. People would throw unrecyclable things inside, and then it contaminates the whole bin, and in the end they couldn't use it. So that's a huge problem. Yeah. So I guess
Maybe they should start this education in elementary school,
yes.
right? To teach the kids like how to separate the garbage.
Yeah, I think this is a culture that will take a very long time before it gets imbued in us.
In Singapore.
Especially, yeah.
Okay, all right. And next is last question. It's like, okay, why did you decide to return to Singapore?
I think that was when I was teaching in Saitama. I was staying in a shared house, so not like the apartment that you provided when I was in Kobe. It was a much smaller. We shared the bathrooms, we shared the kitchen, and I think the hygiene wasn't so good there, so I felt quite sick.
Okay.
Yeah, and I had pneumonia-like symptoms, but it wasn't pneumonia. And I guess I was bedridden for a few days.
Right.
Yeah, and I had very high fever. I had a lot of phlegm in my throat. So that was something that I think that gave me a revelation that I don't really like to be sick alone.
Right.
So that pushed me, sort of like made me want to decide to go back to Singapore, where
your family and friends are here.
People that I know I can speak comfortably with around me, and things like that. Yeah.
So actually, the language is also an important part, right?
It is.
Because you cannot communicate like how you feel or something. Okay, all right. So anyway, would you like to visit Japan again?
Of course.
Of course.
When I was there, I had a lot of things that I do out of habit. So
Really? You develop certain habits?
Yeah.
Like for example?
Like every other week, I would go to Osaka, to Denden town, just to walk the streets there.
Okay.
And I would love to have another koko ijibanya.
To eat a curry, huh?
Yes.
Okay.
I guess those are the things that I would do out of habit. But I also like to explore the other parts that I've never been to when I was in Japan.
Other parts of Japan, right?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So thank you for joining us here.
Welcome.
Okay. So see you. Bye bye.